Most people believe that the biggest risk they face in retirement is market volatility. And in response to that, what they do is they get to retirement and they say, I don't want to be risky anymore. I want to be safe. So they move their accounts to safe investments. They do cash and CDs and money markets and bonds and all those things that feel really safe in the short term. And it makes sense that people would feel that way about market volatility because it feels scary, first of all. You see it every day. It's right in your face if you turn on the news, if you're in the financial media, if you're looking at your account balance. It's right there all the time. It's loud, it's visible, and let's be real, it's emotional, right? You see your accounts down, it's an emotional reaction. And everything inside you is saying, well, this looks like danger. So when I get to retirement, I don't want any of that. So emotionally, I can see it. It makes sense. But that is not the real danger. That's not the biggest risk to your retirement. And the reason why it's not is because your balance that you see on your statement, that's not actually what you own. You own shares of companies. Whether it's stocks or mutual funds or ETFs, you own shares of companies. That number at the top of your statement is just the price today that someone might pay you if you chose to sell it all. And let's be real, very rarely are you selling any of it when you're looking at that statement. So you kind of think, actually a good way to think about that is like your statement is the Zillow of your investment account. You know, you can go on Zillow and look at the price of your house and you say, gosh, well, that's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting, but it's not very useful unless you're selling your house today or in the very near future. Your investment statement is the exact same way. It's interesting. Maybe sometimes it's scary, so it feels risky, but it doesn't really provide much input for your long-term plan if you don't have to sell those things right now. So it's uncomfortable, this market volatility, but it is not what's going to hurt you in your financial plan. The real danger that exists is losing purchasing power. So every year that you're alive, prices are going up, your lifestyle gets more expensive, fixed income, cash, all those safe investments, they're not meant to keep up with that. Cash loses value every day, right? So what nobody tells you about that those safe investments is they're not as safe as you think they are when they're being used to try to carry you through a 30 or 35 year retirement. Because here's what they're not meant for. They're not meant for keeping up with inflation. They're not meant for paying you an increasing income for the rest of your life. And they're definitely not meant to be the sole vehicle to carry you through a 30-year retirement on their own. So the point here is that market volatility is not the biggest risk. Your biggest risk is not your account fluctuating or your money fluctuating. Your biggest risk is your money permanently losing value every year for the rest of your life. And for this reason, this is why growth is not optional. Growth is required. Because growth is how you outrun rising costs over your retirement. Growth requires volatility. If there were no volatility in stocks, there would be no meaningful long-term returns. And this is why it can feel so counterintuitive, because the thing you fear is actually the thing you need. And this leads us to this paradox that the things that are safe or feel safe in the short term are actually the most risky in the long term because of that erosion of purchasing power. And the things that feel the most risky in the short term are actually the safest in the long term, because they have the capability to outrun that decreasing value of your dollars. So the solution to all this, and I want to make sure you know, I'm not saying safe investments are bad. I'm just saying they're not as safe as you think they are when you look at them with the right lens. So we have to, if we're looking at a 30-year problem through a 3-year solution, or looking at a 3-year problem with a 30-year solution, those things don't mix. So really what it's about in creating your retirement income is about structure. It's not about predicting the markets. It's not about any of that. That's called speculating. I don't subscribe to that model. But here's the keys. You don't avoid volatility. You strategically use volatility. You avoid being forced to sell those volatile things at the wrong time. You use short-term stability plus long-term growth potential to get the best of both worlds. So if you know that the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years of your income are safe in these safe short-term investments, and the remainder is got the job of fighting the inflation that will destroy the value of your money over the next 30 years, now you're starting to get into a position where you can actually protect yourself. So the big takeaway here is this. The real risk, long-term risk in retirement, isn't the ups and downs on a day-to-day basis. It's falling behind the cost of life. It's when your cost of living is outpacing the growth of your money. And I hope that is a mindset shift for you as you're going into retirement. Now, of course, this video is for educational purposes. I don't want you to go make decisions based on the content in this video. Always consult a qualified professional with your situation, your unique circumstances before making any financial decisions. I hope you have a great day. I'm Ross Welty with 5 Stone Financial Group.